Wonderful. Well, welcome all of you to nearly the end of today's sessions. But we have a wonderful session that's going to be provided by Molly G., who is someone I've known again for quite some time, who's been a leader in the dietetics field, training other dietitians in weight management, as well as actively involved in clinical research. Molly is a registered dietitian at the Baylor College of Medicine's Behavioral Medicine Research Center in Houston, Texas. She's been involved in multiple clinical trials, most recently the Look Ahead trial, which is working with individuals with type 2 diabetes and obesity and trying to get them to improve their health and reduce their cardiovascular endpoints. And Molly's going to be talking about deciphering weight loss programs. Molly?
Oh, thank you. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you, Bob, for that wonderful introduction. And, you know, I must tell you that being introduced by Bob Kushner is really an honor because I consider him a real visionary and a leader in the area of obesity medicine. Someone say something? Oh, okay. So clearly, thank you so much, Bob. Now, one thing I want to let you in on. Often, I work incognito. Now, what do I mean by that? Essentially, when I first meet people, I tell them that when they ask, what do you do? I tell them I work at Baylor College of Medicine. Because in my past life, when I said I was a registered dietitian, one of two things happened. First, they would ask me, well, what do you think about XYZ diet that a friend is following? Or number two, they would say to me, as if I were a priest in a confessional, you know, how many calories do you think that dessert really had? So needless to say, and I want to tell you that being a registered dietitian is a 24/7 job. What do I mean by that? Well, I've encountered patients in places where there is food, like restaurants, grocery stores, and often this is a big industry. Now, quick fixes, going back to the word quick, I just put up here some of the ones, and some of you mentioned the cabbage soup, someone mentioned that, the baby food diet. Now, this one is the one that I really have to scratch my head on. This is also the wedding diet. This is where brides, in an effort to get into their wedding gowns, actually put a nasal tube, and they restrict their calories to about 500 calories. But this is a ketogenic enteral diet. Desperate? Well, whatever it takes, short of amputation, I believe. You're just looking at different fasts, etc. This is just a small smattering of what is out there. Trending now. You know, a lot of times we could categorize diets according to the macronutrient content. You know, in the 1990s, for some of you, you might remember that fat was the villain. Anything that was fat-free, low-fat, sold. I had clients that hoarded Snackwell cookies because they loved it. It tasted good. What they didn't remember is that low-fat didn't mean no calories. And so consequently, we know the rest. In the 2000s, the beginning of the millennium, carbohydrates were the enemy, hence Atkins, South Beach, etc. With the celebrity endorsements, you know, Jenny Craig, you know, Celebrity Cell, Sports Figure Cell, Dan Marino, you know, is a sports figure for Jenny Craig. Now, I just read recently that Jenny Craig is moving away from celebrity and sports endorsements, and they're really going to focus on real people, real end users. So I really think that was an excellent move for them to do that. Nutrisystem, let's see, there was a new one, they've got a new, Melissa Hart is their new spokesperson. And Weight Watchers, we all know Jennifer Hudson is probably one of the most, and Jessica Simpson are the famous spokespersons for that. Detox, I don't know, but I often ask my clients from a reality standpoint, if they are of a certain age, I will ask, have you ever had a prep for a colonoscopy? You know, and they say, oh yeah, it was horrible. I said, and you want a detox for how many days? So again, that really smacks of desperation. But we are in that type of environment. And then low, high, I mentioned the carbohydrates, the protein, and then gluten. If you attend any food-related conference, you know, they have a special section just on gluten-free products. But the key here is that gluten-free or low, you know, doesn't mean anything about the calories. Gluten-free is not a weight loss diet. Now, are we confused? If you're not confused, I'd be worried. This is just, you know, something that really speaks to logic in the sense of red flags to really sort out what's real, what's not real. When you're taking a look at, first and foremost, if it sounds too good to be true, you know, you can bet it probably is. A lot of times, diets are based on just a kernel of truth from a study or just a few studies. And this is as a dietitian, I often make the remark that, you know, there's not a single food that will make you fat or make you thin. So when you start categorizing food as it's a bad food or a forbidden food or, you know, eat all you want of this, you know, then I'm very, very suspect. Whoops. And then going to what really works. On the most simple platform, I would say clearly diet and exercise. You know, that's very simplistic, but it is true. Calories in, calories out. Now, I'll step back and say that obesity is such a complex mechanism, a complex disease. When you're taking a look at appetite regulation, cravings, those types of things, we are just at the tip of the iceberg of understanding how all those mechanisms work. But clearly, a baseline place to start is taking a look at caloric intake and expenditure. Now, what diet should you try? The topic of this afternoon's discussion is popular diets. Well, when you're taking a look at just a good, balanced diet, you know, that's where you start. Clearly, there are so many guidelines, so many examples of good, balanced eating plans. Your taxes, my taxes have paid for the dietary guidelines in relationship to choosing my plate. You can go to their website, they've got great examples. The DASH diet, although it was really started for managing blood pressure, clearly it's a very healthy way of getting good, adequate nutrition. The Mediterranean diet is another wonderful plan that promotes your health, and certainly that's what we're all about. And then my favorite, of course, is sort of the do-it-yourself. This is my effort to really emphasize the importance of tailoring and individualizing a plan. You know, what's going to work in your lifestyle? Now, what good is it when someone asks me, what's the healthiest vegetable that I should be eating? Well, my retort to them, my reply would be, what vegetables do you enjoy? The reason being, it's what you enjoy, what you actually eat. If I said to you, Brussels sprouts is one of the healthiest vegetables, and you said, I can't stand Brussels sprouts, it ain't healthy for you. So doing it yourself, tailoring it to your food preferences, your lifestyle, taking a look at physical activity, what's going to fit in your schedule. You know, this is a moving target, lifestyle change, because as years go on, your life is going to take on different chapters. You know, some of us, hopefully retirement is coming, so our lifestyle is going to change. Some of you are just beginning, and you know, maybe you are going to have to sneak exercise in more so than people that aren't working full time. So that's just an example. But working with a health professional is key. You know, I often say that physicians really are your air traffic controller for all things. You know, work in conjunction with a physician, with a registered dietitian, you know, that is key, especially if you have any other chronic disease that you're managing. You know, that's really imperative. Other lessons learned. The National Weight Control Registry has really identified some key habits that are helpful as far as losing weight and keeping it off. Now, the National Weight Control Registry was started by doctors Rena Wing and Jim Hill. And the prerequisite is that anyone that has lost 30 pounds, kept it off for 1 year, they invite and encourage you to participate. And what they do, they send out surveys to get an idea of what really works for folks that want to keep their weight off. There's over 10,000 members of this registry. 80% are women. The average age is sort of high 40s. The average number of pounds lost is about 55, and they've kept this weight off for about 5.5 years. So I don't know about you, but I consider those very, very successful people. Now, these are the characteristics that come at the very top of the list as far as what habits help people to maintain their weight loss. Breakfast, you know, eating breakfast, sort of starting your day, and it really makes sense when you think about the root word of breakfast is breaking that fast. You know, think about having dinner or a bedtime snack and then not eating again if you skip breakfast until lunch. I mean, that is a long time without fueling your body. So I'm a big advocate of getting something in the morning. It doesn't have to be something the minute your feet hit the floor. It could be mid-morning, etc. I don't like eating right away when I first wake up. About an hour later, I'm ready for something to eat. Taking a look at self-monitoring. I know one of the other speakers, I believe I can't recall who it was, I think it was Gary Foster, was talking about self-monitoring and under the behavior modification techniques. You know, weighing yourself regularly, knowing where you are. Now, as long as you do it regularly, if you choose to do it daily, that's great, but pick a standard time and day to weigh yourself. You know, one thing I always tell my clients, never weigh the minute you get home from a vacation. You'll be disappointed, very disappointed. That, you know, give yourself, you know, at least 24, preferably 48 hours before you step on that scale. And I deliberately suggest don't weigh on a Monday after a weekend. For obvious reasons. Again, chances are you might have been eating out. Someone else is in control of your food intake. So keep that in mind as well. So at least a minimum of once a week. What you do with your leisure time. Obviously, these folks are not couch potatoes. And getting down to the physical activity piece. Generally, they work at it. We're talking some type of physical activity, you know, averaging to be an hour a day. Now, this goes along with the guidelines of the American College of Sports Medicine, the U.S. Dietary Guidelines. There is science that really supports that as well. Now, one caveat to that 1 hour per day. It doesn't have to be all at one time. So break it up. Bob mentioned that I participated in the Look Ahead trial. And this was a study, as he mentioned, of persons with type 2 diabetes that needed to lose weight. And many of these people, they truly said, I don't like to sweat. I just don't like it. But so what we did to really encourage them, and supported by research, is 10-minute bouts. If you can break your physical activity to 10-minute bouts, that's great. It's just getting started. So I really feel that the National Weight Control Registry gives some great evidence to these are the kinds of habits that really support maintaining weight loss. The food journal. This goes along with just being aware. I mentioned earlier the Weight Control Registry said weighing regularly, at least once a week. If you do nothing else, and let's just say that maybe you've taken a sabbatical from weight loss and you're ready to get started again, keeping a food log, a food journal, a food diary, whatever you want to call it, is a great place to start. Now, the good news is technology has made it really easier. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But I liken this very similar to having a budget. Before you can really start a budget, a financial budget, you have to keep track of where your money is going. So how can you modify your caloric intake, your energy expenditure or non-expenditure, if you don't know your baseline? Same thing with drinking water. It's very easy to say you need to drink more water, but how much water are you drinking now? And what's realistic as far as increasing, and how much, what interval? So I'm a big fan of becoming self-aware and self-monitoring, both your weight and your physical activity as well as your food intake. Technology. I really see this as a major, major trend. Right now, I've talked to many of you who really love wearing the pedometer that was issued here. But in addition, you have already went on and you have these great other accelerometers that you're wearing, like the Fitbit, the Body Media, etc. Some people, I say right now, the different accelerometers they've got on bands, it's really become a fashion statement, whether you're wearing the Feel Band, the Jawbone, etc. But at one of the talks at the lunch with experts today, someone was showing off her Fitband, and it was great because you can change the color. And it really takes a look at not only your energy expenditure, your caloric intake, as well as your sleep patterns. And earlier today, one of the experts, one of the speakers was talking about the importance of sleep and the kind of sleep you're getting. So again, another tool that you can use to really see a baseline where you are and how you can perhaps improve your sleep hygiene. Apps. Anyone that has a smartphone, there are so many free apps that you can monitor your caloric intake, etc. Video games, social networks, Spark people. If you want recipes every day, they've got recipes every day. If you want an exercise tip, they've got one every day. The communities, there is just so many aids, so many resources that are out there. Technology. I bought my son a Fitbit for his birthday, and part of my reason for doing that is he used to have narcolepsy. So I was really worried about his sleep pattern, and of course, he doesn't tell mom anything. So I said, son, try this for a while. But right now, he's really, it's so funny. Michael will say to me, hey, Mom, do you know how many steps I had, da, 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 da. And so right now, he says, are you going to friend me? And I'm saying, no, I don't want your abuse, so I'm not going to friend you, somebody else. I'm smarter than that. Okay, resources. As I said, the weight loss industry is broad and vast, good, bad, crazy information. How do you sort through it? I think that at the very top of the list is this group assembled here. They have done a phenomenal job of bringing resources, communities, experts together. Their magazine is wonderful. So I'm preaching to the choir as far as that's concerned. When you take a look at physicians that you're working with that really understand and are on the cutting edge of what's going on in the science of obesity treatment, Dr. Robert Kushner really spearheaded the charge to really get physicians, up to date on the latest, the greatest, and we now have a specialty credential in obesity medicine. Bob, how many physicians have taken the test last year? How many do we have? 200. Last year was the first board certification. 200 physicians have this special designation, the specialty credential. And then at the Obesity Society meeting in October in Atlanta, they're going to have another pre-course. So these are doctors that are especially qualified, and they stay on the cutting edge of what's going on in the research. And again, there's so much we don't know about appetite regulation and all of that. That is the new frontier, to say the least. Registered dietitians, we just recently have taken the leap following Dr. Kushner's lead. There are going to be registered dietitians that have a specialty credential also in obesity nutrition, so stay tuned. Maybe next year I'll be able to tell you how many we have. Maybe not quite next year, we'll see. But anyway, other healthcare professionals, again, there's not one person that can do all the things. It really is a team approach. This is the screenshot for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, my professional organization. And the reason I put this slide up is this is for the public. It's consumer diet and lifestyle book reviews. And here is the URL. It's www.eatright.org/diet reviews. This is just a small sample of some of the diets that are reviewed, and what they do, they update this on a regular basis just to keep up with what's out there. So a group of experts review the diets, they give pros, cons, what its intention is. I was really saddened when I put this list together and noticed that French women, Japanese women don't get fat, but there's nowhere in sight that Chinese women don't get fat. So I guess I got to work harder. But we laugh when I take a look at some of the names, and I did this more for effect. I mean, Gotti diet. I mean, even the mafioso has got something going here. But needless to say, this list, it's amazing. How do you sort through it all? And believe me, it's not easy. And that's why having resources, someone that you can really ask, what do you think about this, is crucial. This is just an example of some of the information that is given on that particular website about the diet. Just wanted to give you an idea. This is a summary of another celebrity that endorsed a diet. This is the Kind Diet, and Alicia Silverstone really is promoting a vegan diet. And I don't know about you, but oops, what did I do? Can you fix it for me? I hit too fast. Okay. Whoops. Well, anyway, Alicia. Oh, you got it. Let me go. Okay. What she did was she really gave a clever way of how you start going with a plant-based diet. But I don't know about you, but last time I looked at my grocery store, I didn't have any of these magical superhero foods. So again, individualizing, going back to do it yourself. And someone mentioned the HCG diet. As Bob mentioned, he and I do workshops all across the country for registered dietitians, and one of the things that I usually like to do is find out regionally what's the most popular diet or what's really trending in your area, and believe me, HCG, it is universal. Now, the question I have to you as an educated audience, is it really that hormone, HCG hormone, or do you think it might be the 500 calories? What do you think it is? You know, and so, but this is resurfaced. It really started in 1954. It was gone for a while, but it's come back. What's old is new again. And then going on the tenet of first do no harm. You know, the FDA took action. In 2011, you know, with warning letters that were issued. So again, they may be funny, we may be laugh at some of these crazy fad diets, but sometimes they can certainly do harm. Okay, next steps. As far as some actionable items, you know, what I would really recommend is that anything that sounds too good to be true, you know, makes all of these, you know, promises, guarantees, risk-free, etc., no sweat, question it. Individualize. Choose an approach that works for you now. And then as far as attainable goes, being realistic, going back to sort of my bias about keeping food records, knowing where you are at all times. Weight loss is a journey. It's not a destination. It's something you have to work on constantly. It becomes a habit. I've been known to say that there's really no bad diets. There are a few harmful ones, but there's no really bad diets. It's really bad habits. So just thinking about working on that habits. And then finally, why do we do it? Going back to the mantra that every speaker has said, it's about your health. So as a wrap-up, I want to thank you. And in the words of the Queen and the royalty, keep calm. And from this commoner, forget fad diets. So thanks so much for your kind attention. And I think we still have a few minutes for Q&A if anyone is interested. Thank you so much. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have any crazy diets they want to share that maybe didn't make the hit parade? When you say, okay, she was saying that around Phoenix, HCG is really big, but they're also promoting energy shots. Are you talking about injections?
Yes, like injections, B.
Oh, B12, yeah, yeah.
There's also tripic acids and whatever else. And I mean, it's just a fad, right?
It is a fad. There's really no science to support that. And I think that, you know, again, not to belie any physician, but I'm sure it is a profit center. So anyway, okay. Any other diets that someone has run across that is very unusual, that's kind of like different, that maybe we haven't heard of? Yes?
Well, my parents in the 60s went on the
Martinis and whipping cream. Now, what did they do with the whipping cream? Never mind. Oh, no, wait, you got to hear this. They lost weight, but their sex life was better. Okay. Martinis and whipped cream. I've never heard of that. Okay. Oh my gosh. That is a new one. Martinis and whipped cream. I can't wait to go back to the room to Google that one. Yes.
I'm just curious to know your thoughts on this new, it's a diet procedure, I guess, where you can actually eat and then pump it out. They insert some kind of tube. Have you heard of it?
No. Okay. Dr. Kushner, help me out here. A procedure in which you eat and then they pump it out?
It's Aspire Bariatrics. So it's a research project right now. It's not available for everybody, but it's called Aspire Bariatrics, which is a way of evacuating or reducing or taking out about a third of the calories that are consumed through a PEG or a G tube. So, well, it's an alternative to bariatric surgery. That's how you should. That's how an individual would think about it. So, if you are a candidate for bariatric surgery, an alternative to undergoing general anesthesia, having a laparoscopic procedure, and having 85% of your stomach resected, or a gastric bypass in which you're rerouted, instead of that, you would have a PEG or a feeding tube placed in. They have about 30% of the calories removed after a meal. Both are procedures. One is much less invasive and reversible. And yet the outcome can be potentially the same. So, I mean, that's how you have to think about it if you want it. It's purging in a sense of evacuating, but it's not purging in a sense of self-induced vomiting. So, anyway, that's what that is about, and as a way of understanding answering your question.
Wow.
Crazy eating plan.
Yes.
On the news this morning, there was a woman who ingested a tapeworm voluntarily.
Yeah. Okay. That has been around. We have some veteran dieters, myself included, hearing about that, ingesting a tapeworm as a way of weight loss. Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show you that, as outrageous as it sounds, if it works, some people are willing to try it. It goes along, believe me, I'd rather send in $19.95 plus shipping and handling than swallow a tapeworm. Yes.
I remember food combining diets in the 80s, like the pineapple diet.
Yeah. Again, thinking about a single food, that was really on that 10 red flags of, of junk science. If they focus on one single thing. Yeah. Yeah.
This isn't a crazy diet, but I'm really glad that nutritionists and dietitians are now getting more education on people that have had these surgeries and that they can help us, because I know in our group that I'm involved with, that's always been an issue. When we see a nutritionist, they talk to a group, but they really have no background of what it's like to be obese or how to help us with our issues. So I'm glad that they're getting that education.
Thank you. And, one of the things that I will tell you for my profession, we have a weight control, weight management DPG group, and one of the subgroups is bariatric. They have a very active listserv, and so that really dietitians are moving in the mainstream. They are coordinators of centers of excellence. So, and then in the course that Bob and I participate in, that is a major section, is about bariatric surgery, because it's our belief that regardless of whether you work with patients or not, you need to understand, maybe not every minutia, but you need to understand the procedure. You need to understand what the nutrition deficits are. You need to know that to be a good practitioner if you're going to work in the area of obesity. Yes, Ted.
What's your sage advice for transitioning from an acute diet phase, an acute weight loss phase, knowing that you can lose weight on the cookie diet, but after 6 months, you reach sort of diminishing returns, and the real challenge becomes, okay, so what am I going to do for the rest of my life? And how can you help a client, a loved one, whatever, to sort of come to an understanding of a strategy for that rest of their life, rather than hitting that wall and hitting a phase of despair that says, oh my God, here I go again.
You know, I think that everyone, when they first lose weight, they're on a euphoric place. You're so happy, you're getting feedback from everybody. Oh my God, you're doing great, da 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 da. And it's just a matter of fact. You know, once they're accustomed to seeing the change, the transition, then the feedback stops. This is where it's so vital to have a good support system. And I know that many of you really participate in social media, the different communities. That is great. Today I saw someone, I met someone that said, oh my gosh, you live very close to me. And, you know, so they said, well, I'm in a support group, and can I come join yours? So I think it's things like that where you build in the infrastructure while you are losing the weight. And, you know, one thing that I also have found is that wouldn't it be great if the person that you're closest to, a spouse, would be your best cheerleader?